A message of toughness. That's what Nick Nurse said. He wants his squad to show the Cavs tonight. But can the 76ers be tougher against this Cavs team? Not just better, but tougher. We'll break it all down and more on this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This particular episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during the NBA happy hour every Friday night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Keith Pompey, your beat writer for the 76ers for Inquirer.com. Marc Farzetta, a veteran sports talker, with you. We got so much to get into when it comes to this message that Nick Nurse talked about yesterday at Sixers practice in Camden. Also, Paul George weighs in on it as well. The good news surrounding Dom Barlow, I'll start at the end with that. Questionable at this point in time for tonight's game. And can the 76ers bounce back? That's supposed to be. I forgot the N in that one, so excuse me there. All right. Keith Pompey, we watched the Sixers get blown out by the Cleveland Cavaliers. We watched the Sixers not be able to come up with clutch shots against the Cleveland Cavaliers and be unable to stop Donovan Mitchell, particularly in that third quarter. Yesterday at practice, Nick Nurse talked about how you can't just go back and forth swapping baskets with another team. You can't let a team know that it's going to be a track meet, essentially. You got to show that you could be tough, you can rebound, you could do the little things. That sounds nice, and it sounds tough, but can the 76ers actually do that? Can they be and provide a tougher brand of basketball than what we saw on Wednesday night?
I think they can. I mean, I think they can, and I think they need to, definitely, right? Because when we talk about toughness, what is it? It doesn't take skill to be tough. It's all about want to and what you're willing to get yourself into. And I think they can do that. When I looked at that game, I looked at how, like, Cleveland, they were exerting more energy, how guys were, like, hustling more, doing other things, beating them to the spot. Now, again, it's one of those things where, yes, they had younger guys. They had, two quick guards, but they also had, like, two towering post players. But I think the 76ers right now, with that game being on national TV, with this game being on national TV, they can get themselves in a little bit of a rut. And the reason why I say they can be tougher, they have to be tougher, not can, they have to be, is because when we look at Tyrese Maxey's worst games, is typically when teams are being extremely physical with him, right? And he has to power through all that. But also, he has to have somebody that's going to be able to give some hard, I don't know if we could say the word ASS, but somebody has to give a hard ASS screen to knock somebody on their butt and say, we're going to be here, we're going to protect our guys. So to me, I do think that they have to be tougher because, let's face it, this isn't just against Cleveland. I mean, we've seen it the first game against Toronto. We've seen it, right, some of the first game of the back-to-back. We saw it in another game against Toronto, and we saw it in the two games against the Detroit Pistons, right? So the 76ers definitely have to be tougher tonight and moving forward if they expect to compete with these squads.
Yeah, here's what I like about it. I mean, generally, I like the idea of being tougher. No one ever goes into a game saying, hey, let's be weak tonight. No, that doesn't happen. But if you're specific, I think what you're talking about, what Nick Nurse is talking about is, hey, maybe not let them go, out-rebound you on the offensive glass, 8-2, like it was in the early goings of that game against the Cavaliers on Wednesday night. Maybe actually get some of those rebounds. Maybe actually box out a little bit, be that kind of tough. I don't think that it's necessarily Andre Drummond against the Magic, squaring up like you're going to throw hands. But I also look at it from the other side of, if you do try to be a little bit tougher, a little bit more physical, I mean, I don't want Joel Embiid doing that. Like, I like the idea of him diving into the stands and going after a loose ball like he did Wednesday, but I don't want to see that with any regularity by the big man, obviously. With Tyrese Maxey, I'd like him to stay healthy. Paul George, obviously up there in age, like him to stay healthy. I think it's a matter of finding ways to do the little things. And whether that's on the defensive end with just being more aggressive in going after rebounds and making sure you're finding a man and boxing them out so they can't get those offensive rebounds, they can't get those putbacks also, then, yeah, I'm all for it. That's what I want to see. But when it comes to even playing with a little bit of an edge, I don't want that to be the Sixers' focus right now because they're still learning how to play together. They're still trying to stay on the floor with one another. And all in all, I like the up-tempo, more finesse style that we've seen from Tyrese Maxey, more finesse that we've seen from Joel Embiid throughout this season, more so than I like the idea of really trying to, get physical with another opponent.
Yeah, I guess I can see where you're coming from, but I also think that it's a catch-22, right? And what I mean by that is it's like, you don't want them to get carried away with that and that to be their focus. However, I do feel like if they don't do that regardless of who the opponent is, they're not going to go far. Like when they go and play the New York Knicks, okay, you know what? That's a rival. Like we don't like the Knicks. We're going to be physical. We're going to come at it. We know what we're going to do. When they play the Boston Celtics, it's the same exact thing, right? But then, if you play Detroit, it's different. When you play Cleveland, it's different. So I do feel like you got to get tougher. Now, again, that's not up to Joel. That's not up to PG. That's not up to Tyrese. It's not up to VJ Edgecombe. It's up to these role players who come into the game and their job is to be an agitator and be physical, right? Guard them. Like you got 5 fouls to give or 6 fouls to give. Give them. Like do what you have to do. You have to protect your players because that's what the end of the day the game is. You should not, and again, you do have to run this offense and you do have to do stuff. But to me, whenever the 76ers play the Detroit Pistons, I see a lot of grabbing, I see a lot of holding, I see a lot of like trying to get into Maxey's head. When we saw Cleveland, it was the same thing. A lot of getting physical with them, doing stuff like that. You got to send a message sometimes. Now, here's the ironic thing. The 76ers were getting blown out against the Orlando Magic. Drummond squares up. Everybody's laughing. Everybody's saying whatever. The next time they go to Orlando and they beat them. They get physical with them and they beat them. You know what I mean? So to me is when Drummond scored, the game was just about already over. But at the same time, it kind of like said, you know what? We know we're in for a battle and we got to do it. And I feel like that's what the 76ers just have to do. Now, again, you are correct. You have to run the offense. You have to worry about things like that. But worry about getting that together. But what I'm talking about is I'm talking about Justin Edwards. I'm talking about Dom Barlow. I'm talking about Jabari Walker, who did do it that one game, right? Guys like that. Play with the energy and do what you have to do and protect your stars. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about that name, Dom Barlow, you just mentioned. It's still good news, not great news, but good news at this point in time when it comes to his injury. Again, listed as questionable at this point in time going into tonight's 7 o'clock tip-off against the rematch with the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll talk about Dom Barlow's role when we return. This is Locked On 76ers and the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. Back after this. Right now, it's time to tell you guys about DoorDash and what you need to be taking advantage of when it comes to DoorDash and how fantastic DoorDash is, especially when it comes to the NBA and locking in on your games and your game day food. Season's heating up. DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag, by the way, the whole way through. Whenever you're watching highlights, you're looking at the tunnel fits, your favorite player, you can get some of that great stuff when it comes to DoorDash because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps their snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. We know about that, Philly, don't we? We'll let DoorDash become your post-game therapy because sometimes you can use a little dessert, a little comfort food. That's where DoorDash comes in. The group chat says, pull up with DoorDash. You're the hero. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, and gear. Whatever gets you through the season delivered right to the door. To your door, that is. DoorDash in your bag all season long with DoorDash. And how about the Everydayer Club? You guys signing up? You guys subscribing? You guys becoming members of the Everydayer Club? If you haven't yet, you guys can get Locked On 76ers ad-free on LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. That's LockedOn76ers.supercast.com to sign up for the Everydayer Club. So, concern level with Dom Barlow. Right now, it's just listed as a contusion, fortunately for him. And again, listed as questionable, not out, but questionable for tonight's game against the Cavs. What can you tell me about Barlow?
It's weird. This is what Nick Nurse said when they asked him about, because he was at the end of when they opened up the practice to the media, Barlow was on the far end of the court doing some light drills with the assistant coaches, and Nurse gave an encouraging update on him. And this is what Nurse said. Yeah, it was good. I think they decided against imaging this morning because he felt a little bit better. It doesn't rule out completely yet that he's going to need some, but he was out there moving around. It sounded like he was going to be okay. So, that's encouraging for the 76ers. The thing is, though, I think I maybe me, just because, you're a $1 billion organization, I think I would have just given him an MRI just to double check, right? Just to
why not?
Yeah, like why not? Like why not do it? Because it sounds like when you say stuff like that, I'm wondering, is Nick saying that because it's like, okay, we feel like he doesn't need one, but just in case he has a setback or just in case something happens, we don't want people to think that, we messed up, but I just would have given him one no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? That would make sense.
But here's the deal. So for me, it's kind of like that is a good sign because when he did fall, it looked bad, right?
Yeah.
And, you didn't know if it was his back, if it was his neck, was his leg, the way that he just fell. Now, again, he was holding his back, but the way that he collapsed, like he fell like a folding chair after someone shot it, right? Right. So it was like, yo, you okay, brother? So for him to get up and say something is good. Now, again, we talk about toughness, right? Yes. To me, this is a guy who he's smart, but he also knows his situation. I'm on a 2-way deal. I'm having the best year of my career. I got to play. I got to do what I have to do. Now, again, the question that the Sixers are going to say is he okay? Or is it smart for us to just sit him out another game, whereas he doesn't play today? We're off on Saturday and Sunday, and then we have a back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday, right? Do we just want him to rest now? So to me, that's the biggest question. But again, everything seems like Nick Nurse said, it sounds like he's going to be okay.
All right, so here's the schedule for the 76ers again. They lost this first one against the Cavaliers. Then they're back tonight, obviously 7 o'clock, and then they're off for the weekend. So I think that's what you're referencing there. Hey, get a break. You got the Pacers, no big deal there. Then you got the game Tuesday night against the Phoenix Suns. That's the second leg of the back-to-back. Maybe you let them rip in the Indiana game. Maybe you let them rip in the Phoenix game. Maybe give them a break in there. And then again, you got Houston, followed by the Knicks coming to town on the 24th. That's Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. That's the way that one's working there. So you're saying maybe give them a break in the middle or just have them ready to go maybe by that back-to-back?
You know what? I think, I would, because when you fall on your back, depending on how he feels, but to me, I would be more cautious right now. Again, I don't, we got to see what he was able to participate in practice. We'll see, how the shoot around goes for him. But to me, it's just one of those things, an extra day is not going to hurt, right? Mm-hmm. It's just not going to hurt. Now, again, we talk about toughness. You need them. But when we're talking about a back, and we saw how, guys who had back issues for the Sixers in the past, DeAnthony Melton, you come back, we're talking about, he's a power forward where he does bang with people, right? So grabbing rebounds and stuff, you don't want to have a little setback with that. So to me, it's one of those things where I would err on the side of caution a little bit. And then maybe give them like the day off, then you have off Saturday, Sunday, and then you're good after that.
So for me, if Kelly Oubre was still hurt, like this wouldn't be a question. It'd be like, okay, Barlow, are you good? You can play tonight, right?
Yeah.
But Oubre's back. You like the way Walker's been playing. You've been giving Bona more run. Like to me, I feel like this is an easy call. This guy has worked his ass off throughout the offseason. This guy's earned a starter's role. He has certainly found a way to fit in at the very least here on the Sixers team. I think he does. Why not be a little extra cautious? I am surprised they decided not to go with the MRI. Why not? You got it there. Just take it. Give him the MRI essentially. And then why not give him the opportunity to take a break tonight, especially when you can add into the little bit of a layoff that you have here during the homestand. And on top of that, this is a rarity. I can't believe I'm actually saying this when you consider the way the year has gone. Do you actually have depth? You actually have options right now at that position. So for me, have at it, man. Just take the day. It's very simple. I like the way Walker's been playing. I'd like to see another opportunity for Adem Bona to run next to Joel Embiid. And if you want to throw Oubre into your starting five, like we talked about yesterday, he's available. And he's finding his legs again. I think this is a very easy call. I think Barlow has certainly earned a day off, especially when you're dealing with any type of back injury or you're dealing with any type of contusion at all that had him as scared as he was when he was down. Because you mentioned the way he went down, which I'll never forget, like a folding chair that got shot. And then he laid there on the ground, and it did not look good at all. If he would have been able to get up and hobble off the court, I might feel a little bit differently, but that didn't look good. And common sense tells you, man, he's earned the break. You got the backups. There's going to be a nice break coming up as well. Why not double down on it? Now, as far as what we were talking about yesterday, would you still go with Walker in that starting five, or would you go to Oubre, or would you get crazy and throw Bona in there? What would you do?
You know what? The thing about dump Bona, and we talked about that yesterday, I would love to throw Bona in the starting five because if he didn't play, right? I mean, Oubre would be the best case scenario. I mean, no, Oubre would be the logical if it's like regardless of who you playing. But when you have these two twin towers, I think Bona would be the best case scenario, right? Because of who they're playing. The only problem is he's a foul waiting to happen. Now, he didn't get any fouls the last one, but if he gets into early foul trouble, then all of a sudden it just disrupts everything that you're trying to do with your rotations. So I'm a little scared of that. So if that is, I'm going to have to go with Jabari Walker, right? And just say, hey, look, man, we need you to hit open threes if we swing the ball to you. But for the most part, we need that toughness we talked about in the beginning. We need you to be tough. We need you to box out. We need you to be physical. We need you to grab rebounds. We need you to hustle. Just do this and that. And then there's going to be a couple times during the game we're going to swing the ball to you. Are you up for it? And that's what we need, right? So those are the things that me personally, where I look at it and I say to myself, like, that's why I would go with him, because I'm so fearful that Bona is going to pick up 2 early fouls. And then next thing you know, he's going to go to the bench, and then they're just going to expose the Sixers big men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Drummond's getting even more run and all that stuff. Yeah, I would agree with you there. All right, when we come back, Sixers aren't the only ones dealing with an injury problem. The Cavs are actually dealing with a couple going into tonight's game. We'll talk about that when we return and whether or not the 76ers can bounce back against the Cleveland Cavaliers. All that and more when we return. This is Locked On 76ers. Hey, FanDuel app. Want to have yourself a great time? FanDuel app is where it's at, especially with the all-new NBA Happy Hour on Fridays from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Download the FanDuel app and have at it. Fridays already feel a little bit different during basketball season. FanDuel is making them even better every Friday night before games tip off. FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before all the action tips off. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time have become appointment viewing, with the NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour brings something new. Boosts, bonuses, surprises. It's a fantastic way to get in on the action on the FanDuel app, and it adds that energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the app, the FanDuel app, that is, and see what's dropping by and dropping in when it comes to the NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Little basketball, a whole lot of action, and a whole lot of Friday night energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And one more time, don't forget about the Everydayer Club when it comes to Locked On 76ers. Go to lockedon76ers.supercast.com. That's lockedon76ers.supercast.com. And you guys can join the Everydayer Club where you get ad-free episodes available on all major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, ad-free audio feed of Locked On 76ers. So make sure you guys check out lockedon76ers.supercast.com to sign up and be a part of the Everydayer Club. Here's what you got with the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. Darius Garland still dealing with that toe injury, out. Max Strus right now listed as out. That's the way it's shaken out. And Merrill is also out for tonight's basketball game as well. Shorthanded Cavs somewhat?
Yeah, shorthanded.
I pretty much only care about Donovan Mitchell.
That's the crazy thing, because now you're looking at it like, dang, now Donovan can get more shot attempts.
Yeah, the same exact thing. Like that. This doesn't. I should have warm and fuzzies about this, but I don't. Like they didn't even. I said it yesterday. They had 8 points. Excuse me, add 8 points from Donovan Mitchell in the first half. Okay, then he just exploded in the third quarter. And as I said, we were going through it. He's gonna get it going at some point.
Yeah,
career high. Matching a career high 20 points in the third quarter, goes off for 35 in 33 minutes. So, yeah, excuse me if I'm not exactly getting the warm and fuzzies, Keith, going into this game tonight with who the Cavs have unavailable for tonight.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, this is a big game. I mean, there's still a lot of time left in it. But if we look at it, let's just say the Sixers right now are in fifth. They could possibly drop all the way to seventh place with a loss, because, right now the 76ers their record is they are 22-17. They have a 56.4% winning percentage. So if they go 22-18, then it drops to 55. If the Cleveland wins, they'll be 24-19, and that winning percentage will put them up at 55.8. So the Sixers can drop 2 spots with a loss tonight. And then they go from being, a playoff team to considered a play-in tournament team. Now, again, there's a lot of games left, but at the same time, it's one of those things. And, we talked about it against Orlando. It's all about getting tiebreakers, right? Against Cleveland, right now, Cleveland has already defeated you the one time. They're they beat you twice. So, you want to, like, have something. You know what I mean?
Something to hang your hat on, sure.
Yeah, something to hang your hat on. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is true. Out tonight. Garland out tonight. Sam Merrill is out tonight. Dean Wade is out tonight. Meanwhile, the Sixers, they have Embiid and George probable. Oubre available, but I think I can also chalk that up as probable, or that'll play. And then just questionable tonight is Dom Barlow. So, okay, we go back to the idea of toughness. Forget about that for a second. The game is always all about the bucket, Keith, as you well know. You can't have Tyrese Maxey with 14 points, especially in a game where he's going up against a guy who is hot on his tails when it comes to climbing up the scoring chart overall in the NBA. Right now, Tyrese Maxey is listed as still the third leading scorer in the NBA. Donovan Mitchell has worked his way up that list. He is fourth, I believe, right now in the NBA in scoring. So you can't have a guy like that hot on your tails and also already coming off such a phenomenal performance against the Sixers in the first game of this back-to-back mini series, as we've heard it referred to. So this has got to be a game where you start relying a little bit more, not relying because you're already relying on him, but this is a game where Tyrese Maxey has to rise to the occasion, not just for the Sixers' sake, but personally as well. I have no doubt that Donovan Mitchell has a chip on his shoulder, that Maxey, and people were talking about in the chat in yesterday's show, that Maxey's getting all this shine and he's not getting any. This is an opportunity for him as much as it is for Tyrese Maxey to show just how good they are to the rest of the league.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, but here's the only it is. But if it was me as a coach, I would have to say it. I would be frustrated. Like, dude, you worrying about how many points you got? Like, now it's good. We do want you to score points, but
right.
It's all about wins and losses, right? And just because Donovan Mitchell scores a lot of points, that doesn't make them a better team. It could benefit the Sixers in a way, right? I mean, because when you think about it, like if he's doing stuff and Jared Allen and Evan Mobley is not having an impact on the game and other people aren't, Deontay Hunter isn't, then it's kind of sort of like, okay, score 50 if you want to,
right.
Do it. Score 45, just do it. So that's where it is. But in regards to the 76ers toughness, like, again, that Maxey is drawing the crowd as soon as he gets past half court, right? They're trying to set screens for him, but what happened is both guys are leaving. You're going to have to hit the screen harder. You're going to have to pull your man. You're going to have to do a lot of other different things. Not literally pull him, but like make sure you get in the way to where the guy they can't double Maxey, whereas Maxey can use his quickness to blow by someone. So to me, the thing is, if Donovan Mitchell wants to worry about a scoring title, right now when he's only played in 38 games and he has more games left, right? You know what I mean? Go ahead, bro. Knock yourself out. Because here's the deal. You can be upset and you can figure out what you're going to do, but we're going to find out on Monday who the all-star starters are. And right now, you ain't in the top 5. Is Maxey, right? So like you can get upset with Maxey all you want and prove it, but the fans vote, the other players vote. So like you can't take it out on him. Then that's great to show your shine and all that, but like if I'm the 76ers, it's all about freeing Tyrese up so he can do certain things and he can help this team win. Because we talked about it. Whenever Tyrese Maxey, there was one game he had where he didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but Joel Embiid stepped up, Paul George stepped up, other people did. But outside of that, if his offense isn't heavily involved, the way this team is made up, the Sixers tend to struggle. And that's where that toughness comes from. Yes, he has to get through these checks. He has to get out of it. But also he has to have some teammates who are going to set some hard picks for him, teammates who are going to protect him and do all those other things.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully we see that tonight. Do they bounce back tonight, Keith? Do you think they get the win? Is it at least a game? What do they do tonight?
It's weird because these are one of those ones where you say no and then they mess around and win, right? But I'm going to say no. I'm just going to say no. I'm going to say no.
I think it's a game tonight. I don't think it's a 133-107 loss or anything like that, but I think it's a game. And I'm going to say let's get nuts. I'm going to go on the opposite end. I'm going to say they win this game tonight, 107-105. They edge it out. I'm even going to give you a score. How about that? It's uncomfortable, but they pull it out.
Okay. What's the score?
107-105.
Oh, 107-104. All right, bro. Bang. It might be a little higher than that. You might want to say 137, 133, or whatever. 137, 104.
That'd be a wild one, man. This will not be a defensive clinic tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah. Right.
Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta, Locked On 76ers. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Locked On 76ers. Tip off tonight at 7 o'clock. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Back with you guys Monday. How about that? See you guys then. Bye. Or actually,
Peace.
yeah, I think. Yeah, say bye.
All right, bye, man. Bye.